I want to talk to you guys today about leadership and about the difference between leaders and managers. I want to talk to you about the difference between leaders and managers because so many people call themselves leaders, but all they're doing is simply managing. You won't find the text talk about managing anywhere. I just read you something about leadership, and so what we want to do is we want to look at how we can move from being managers into leaders. And so this is what I call these 15 keys or 15 distinctions between leaders and managers. And so we'll go through them relatively quick. And so again, we're going to look at the 15 key differences between leaders and managers. I'm kind of controlling this thing myself, so we'll see if it make sure there's no lag. So again, I try to start every presentation with a thank you. I got that from the great theologian Steve Jobs. Every time that Steve Jobs would start a presentation, he always started with a simple thank you. And so thank you, Pastor, for allowing me to be here. Thank you guys for allowing me to be able to share with you guys. It's awesome, it's awesome, it's awesome. And more importantly, thank you for being pastors who are passionate about advancing the good news. About being pastors that are willing to do anything short of sin to win people to the Lord. And that's what our responsibility is. It's not about playing it safe. It's about doing anything short of sin about reaching people with the good news of Jesus. And I love that pastors, like anything short of sin, we want to make sure that you guys are being able to be raised up as leaders, that you're being able to grow and have more insight and perspective. And so I hope these 15 differences will speak to you. I hope you're able to glean something from them. And so the first one is simply this. The first thing we're going to look at is drive. And we talk about drive, like, well, what are you thinking about? We're talking about drive. Like, what is drive at its core? What are we looking at when we're talking about drive, when we're talking about the differences between leaders and managers? Here's what we're going to look at. Drive is simply this. When you look at a leader and a manager, managers are focused on stability while leaders embrace change. Here's the deal. Managers are focused on stability. They want to continue to do it the same way because this is how we've always done it. Oh, well, Pastor, well, Bishop, why are we doing it? Because this is how we've always done it. That's a manager. I'm going to do things the same way because why? Because guess what? This is why we've always done it. If you ever hear anybody respond to, and you ask the question, why are we doing this? And they say, this is why we've always done it. That's not a good answer. You need to say, we do it because of this. Not because we have always done it, because it's a value, because this is what we're about. But not because this is what we've always done. So managers, they're focused on stability, where leaders saying, I know that I need to change. I know that things are changing daily. Fashion is changing by the day. Politics is changing by the week. The world is changing by the second. And as the church, as ministry leaders, if we're going to sit here and stay stuck in our comfort zones, we're going to have some problems. And some of you are sitting there, you're wondering, like, why are people not coming through our doors? It's because you're staying in your comfort zone. You must be willing to change. And change means something different for every single leader that's in here. Some of you are sitting there thinking like, oh yeah, I know I need to change that. Because I'm telling you this, a church that marries the spirit of an age will become a widow of the next generation. Let me say that again. Let me say that again. A church that marries the spirit of an age will become the widow of the next generation. I'm sorry, some of you are married to a spirit of an age that was many years past. And you're wondering why the next generation is not walking through your doors. Because the next generation, they're expecting change. The next generation, everything is changing. Think about your kids and how they change, stuff that they liked before that they don't like now, this and that. Everything is changing. But as the church and managers, they want to focus on stability. The only thing that needs to be stable is your love for Jesus. Here's the deal. The message never changes, but the method must change. The message doesn't change. The gospel doesn't change, but the method must change. So again, managers are focused on stability, while leaders are focused on change. And I want to tell you guys this, that we're in a more evolving and more diverse world than ever before. And so if we want to continue to reach people with the good news. We have to understand diversity. We have to understand ethnic diversity. We have to understand, make sure that we have a representation of men and women that are at our leadership table. We can't be married to this other age. We got to make sure that we have leaders of all types that are at our leadership table having the conversation. Because here's the thing, man, the U.S. Census shows this, that in 2044, the U.S. will no longer be an all-white majority. 2044. 2021, kindergarten in the U.S. will no longer be a white majority. Now, I'm out here in California where you guys are already seeing that in some of your classes and stuff, but I'm talking about this is nationwide. And I say that to tell you that things are changing. So if you think that your ministry is just going to look one way, you're missing the boat. Because I'm telling you, it's not like God is up there right now saying, oh, man, could have fooled me. I didn't know this was going to happen. This is no surprise to God. What's a surprise to God is that the brightest and the sharpest ministry leaders from around the world are playing it safe and focused on stability. IBM is one of the organizations we've done some work with, and I love what the IBM diversity officer says about diversity and how diversity is a value for their organization and what it does to help them continue to propel what they do forward. Okay, here we go. Ron Glover says it this way: diversity is a cornerstone of IBM's strategy to differentiate itself as one of the world's greatest companies. It is an essential part of how we attract and retain the best people around the world and makes for a creative environment. Let me say this. Diversity is a cornerstone for fill-in-the-blank church. Its strategy to differentiate itself from the world and other great companies. It's an essential part of how we attract and retain the best people around. Because again, as Bishop said earlier, it's all about your team. It's about your team. You're no better than the leaders that you have in your organization. It's about your team. So if you want to attract and retain the brightest and best, they need to know when they sit at the table, for one, that their voice is going to be heard. And that they're not, that everybody's voice at the table is not the same. Because I'm telling you this, if you're in meetings all the time and every single meeting, it just goes, yes, sir, yes, ma'am, that's what we need to do. Then I'm telling you, you need to readjust your leadership table. Because I don't care what your title is. If everything is do it this way because I said so, you're missing the boat. Change or die. At the moment you stop changing, the moment you start dying. When it comes to rules, let me go ahead and move through a little bit quicker. The rule is simply this. When it comes to rules. There we go. Managers make the rules while leaders break the rules. Let me say that again. Managers make the rules. You got to do it this way. You got to do it this way because this is what we said. This is how you do it. Man, a leader is not about breaking the rules just for the sake of breaking the rules. A leader breaks the rules because here's the deal. How often do you know? There's some rules that need to be broken. There's some rules that need to be broken about what people should be wearing on stage. There's some rules that need to be broken about how we do this and how we do that and how we say this and why we say that. We need to break some rules if we're going to truly reach people. It's not about you and the way you do things and your rules in your box. But that's what managers do. They make the rules and you do it this way. Leaders are going to break the rules. I remember, if you guys tell you a little bit about my background, I haven't always been in ministry. I haven't always been a pastor. As a matter of fact, I did a large number of my adult years in a prison system. 12 years, 22 days, and 8 hours to be exact. 8x10 cell. Razor wire. Pinned up anger. Bad food. Prison. I was a warden in the prison system. You guys can breathe. Man, you see the looks on some of your faces. You know what I'm saying? Like, some of you are like, praise the Lord, hallelujah. You know what I'm saying? Like, and some of you are doing like, what's Pastor Obed doing with a convict in the pulpit? That's what we're talking about, change. You know what I'm saying? Some of you, I saw it on your face. But you need to change the way you thought. If I was a former inmate, what does that matter? Because again, that's what we want to see. We want to see transformation, right? When it comes to conflict, managers avoid conflict and see it as a liability, while leaders embrace it and use it as an asset. So good. Yes, sir. Managers, they're afraid of conflict. They don't want to make anybody mad. I don't want any conflict. Here's the thing. I'm going to tell you this right now. Conflict is good. Conflict is healthy. There's no movement without friction. Nothing moves without friction. And so if you're avoiding conflict, you're avoiding movement. There's no movement without friction. Tires don't move on the road if there's no friction. Embrace conflict. And some of you are sitting there saying, yeah, I embrace it. When's the last time you had a confrontational meeting with your team? Some of you don't want it because you know what? You're a my way or the highway leader. Those days are done. It doesn't even work in the military anymore. I'm telling you, conflict. Are you feeling the conflict? How are you handling the conflict? I'm telling you right now, some of you are not having conflict because your culture and your systems don't allow for it. And if you want to have a system and culture, like Bishop said, like the only way you can have it, you have to do it. You don't just get up and put this is our culture. We're going to do this and we're going to do this. You have to act it out. You have to live it. In other words, you need to allow somebody to be able to challenge stuff. We're never talking about being disrespectful. Now, don't get conflict confused with being disrespectful. Here's what I'm saying. Don't get that twisted. What we're talking about is making sure that you have appropriate and healthy conflict. That's the only way your organization is going to grow. Let's keep moving. There we go. When it comes to culture, this is the big one. Everybody's talking about culture now. That's our buzzword. We want to make sure that our culture is this and that our culture is that. So managers execute the culture as an end and to a mean, while leaders use it for thriving. Like, understand, like the culture is not, you don't just put up the checklist of this is what culture is. Culture is something like we establish the culture by how we live, by what we say, by what we do. And again, it's more so by what we do. Because again, people will listen to the sermons that you live way before they listen to the sermons that you preach. And so if you want a culture that does X, Y, Z, you got to live it out. You can't get up here talking about something and they know that you're not living it out. I mean, your people, they're students of people. They're taught to sit there and to study you. They're studying you. And once they figure out like, okay, they're doing X, Y, Z, that's when they begin to be bought in. So again, culture trumps everything. You can have all your vision meetings. You can have all your systems. You can have all your structure. But I'm telling you this right now, culture will eat your vision, your structure, and all this stuff for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. The culture will trump everything, and there's nothing worse than you can do when you can take a new, excited ministry leader, a volunteer leader, and you bring them in your organization, and you put them with your oldest, tiredest, negative person and allow them to train them. And next thing you know, those are the ones that are setting your culture. Sometimes you got to make some change. Sometimes you got to make the hard changes. I don't care that Miss Marilyn has been with you forever. I'm sorry. Miss Marilyn might need to go. Because here's the thing. By you releasing Miss Marilyn, she has something else where she can step into her destiny. Her steps are not done. Just because she's done with you doesn't mean she's done. And I don't know who Miss Marilyn is, but you guys know who she is. You know what I'm saying? Like, all right, let me go back to my slides are not working again. All right, here we go. Direction, there we go. Let's keep it sliding. There we go. All right. Whoa. There we go. Hold on. Managers keep to existing roads while leaders forge a new path. Again, a manager wants to do it. We do it this way because this is how we do it. We line up the chairs this way. This is what we say. Every single time we come into service, we do our announcements the exact same way. We do our announcements the exact same way because this is what we do it. We never change it up. Don't we know that our people begin to tune us out? It's something I call numbness of frequency because you do it the same way over and over again. I know this is when I check out because this is what you're saying. This is how you're going to say it. Left stage, right, do this, do that. You have to change it up because your people are used to change. Things are changing every single day. And so what a manager does, they just stick to the existing rows. Because we do it this way, because this is the way that we've always done it. It's something I like to call the BlackBerry syndrome. How many of you guys remember something that was called a BlackBerry? Anybody used to have a BlackBerry by a show of hands? By a show of hands? BlackBerry. Here's what BlackBerry was an amazing organization. Guess what? 2009. You guys may not know this. 2009. BlackBerry had over 50% of the North American smartphone market. This was in 2009. 6 years ago. Over half. Now they have less than 1%. You know why? Because here's what, you think that the CEO of BlackBerry wasn't a smart guy? I'm telling you he was a smart guy. Do you think his executive team, his leadership team, the elders, you don't think those guys are smart guys? They were really smart guys. Let me tell you what happened. They sit in a room and they said, guess what? Our people love the trackball. They love the trackball, that they're willing to pay extra money for the enterprise internet server. I don't care. Steve Jobs and Samsung, they're doing a touch screen. That stuff is for them. They're trying to be trendy. We're not going to follow the trends. They're just trying to be hip. We don't want to be a hipster church. We don't want to do that. We don't want to follow the trends because we love our trackball. And next thing you know, everything else is evolving around them. And guess what happened? 6 years later, they're bankrupt. And I'm telling you right now, so many of you in here, you're holding on to your track balls. You need to drop your balls. I'm telling you. There's some track balls that need to be dropped in this room. Some of you need to go back to your teams. And you need to ask the question, what are the track balls that we need to drop? Because they even charge more for the internet. The enterprise server, our people pay more for the internet because they're business customers. They convince themselves of that. And many of you are convincing yourselves that the reason your ministry isn't growing is because of the area you were in. Oh, if I was in the Bible Belt. No, if you was in the Bible Belt, you'd be going up against the largest church in America that's got a church on every single corner. Don't use that as no excuse where you're at. Stop holding on to your track balls. Ask yourself the question, what am I doing to change? What are some new roads that I'm willing to forge down? Because as long as you're holding on to your track balls, you're going to be in trouble. When it comes to process. Managers only want to know the how and the when. How are you going to do it? When are you going to get it done? How are you going to do it? When are you going to get it done? But leaders must take that question to a whole nother level. Leaders say this. They want to understand the what, the why, and the where. Where are we going? What is this about? Like, what's the where? Again, where are we going? Where are we? What are we doing with this? Where are we going? They want to understand the method, the process. They get off, but it's more than just the how and the when. Some of you, the only question you're asking, how are you doing and when are you getting done? As a matter of fact, everything runs through you to ask the how and the when. And I'm telling you, if you're a high-level leader and everything is going through you and you got to know every single thing, then you're not a high-level leader. The best question that I can ask a leader, when I ask him a question, the best response I can get is, hey, what about so-and-so, so-and-so? I don't know, but I can point you to the person that does. You don't need to know everything. If you know everything, then you need to check yourself and you need to get a new team. You need to release some leadership to your team members. You need to release some leadership to your volunteers. You don't need to know everything. You need to be flying at 50,000 feet. You only come down at 10,000 feet every once in a while. 50,000 feet. You're flying at a high altitude. All right, so when it comes to decisions, managers make decisions on everyone's behalf while leaders encourage others to own the decision-making process. Again, they're encouraging everyone, like this is our ministry, right? We're going to help you to own it. I'm clearly the leader, but I'm going to help you to own the process. I love, Dr. King says it this way. Here's the deal. Dr. King said this way. He says, a great leader is not a searcher of consensus. A great leader is a molder of consensus. So you can allow them to own the process and still mold the consensus because of your leadership and because of your example. Again, when it comes to decisions, are you just making decisions on everyone's behalf? Or are you allowing them to get involved in the process and get some feedback and some buy-in? And what are you doing to help those along the way? Because again, the my way or the highway leader days are done. The military is having problems with that. When it comes to vision, managers tell it while leaders sell it. Hey guys, our vision is what we're going to do is we're going to go through a building campaign and We're excited about raising the money for the building campaign because we're ready to go do whatever with the building campaign. We want you just to give some more money for the building campaign, and we're excited, and we're getting ready to go reach some new people, and we're excited about the new addition that we're about to do on here, and we're excited about it. Everybody's just so excited in every single church. I can't tell that you're excited. Everybody's using the word excited and awesome, and you don't look excited, and what I'm seeing oftentimes is not awesome. What are you doing to sell it? Here's the thing. The reason why we're doing this is because we know that God has anointed us and appointed us for a time like this to take the good news beyond what we're doing right here. Our ministry is much bigger than this. God has told me that I'm supposed to do more than this. So when you're giving to this, you're giving to something that's much bigger than yourself. There's nothing that you can give to that's more important than what we're doing here. It's not about Sundays. It's not about these four walls. It's not about our little church. We don't have to do a conference and charge everybody. You know what? Maybe we can do something called Passion and Passion. We're going to let you guys come in because we want to pour into you, because we know that all of us together is better than us doing it in our own little comfortable box. Beautiful. What are you selling? We have the most amazing, when I watch these commercials for other organizations and what they're selling, and how they're selling it, and the money and the time and the effort and the energy that they do in their creativity. Think about it. We can't wait to watch the Super Bowl commercials. All the time we get in front of it and we say, oh man, it's so creative on Sunday. And we just looked at our promotions for our church that Sunday and they didn't even exist. What are you doing to share it? What are you doing to sell it? Are you buying Facebook ads? Are you doing invest and invite cards? How are you selling a vision? I'm going to tell you right now, I can tell whether a church is the invite culture. Again, I'm with church leaders all around the world. If I go out to lunch with you, and I don't see you give an invest and invite card to the waitress, you're not serious about investing and inviting people. Can I say that again? If you're going out to lunch or to dinner and you're sitting there with the waitress and you're not giving an invest and invite card, guys, invest and invite your people, invite people, bring somebody this week. Let me tell you what works. Hey, guys, you know what? I go to this restaurant every single week. The barista, I go to Starbucks. I've invited her for the last 2 months. Guess what? This last week, she finally came. She raised her hand and made a decision to follow Jesus. People are not moved by the stuff that we're selling. They're moved by the stories that we're telling. If you'll just do the work, you'll have all of the illustrations that you need where the culture will shift, where people will want to invest and invite. Managers tell it. Leaders sell it. When it comes to style, just look at Martinez couple when it comes to style. All good. Thank you, sir. When it comes to style, managers get from point A to point B by making transactions, but leaders get there by encouraging transformation. So again, it's transaction. Everything is transactional. You come in, I want you to do this. I need you to volunteer in this spot because guess what? It's a transaction. You're filling a cog in a wheel. I'm not going to send you to a conference. What pastor would send their leaders and volunteers to a conference? You must want to see some transformation. It's not just what they can come in here and do for you. It's all about transactions. You do this and I do that. That's not what it's about. You want to see some real transformation. In other words, you look at things a lot differently when you want, your style is not just, how do you do this? You do this, I do that. Because your people know the difference. If you want to see transformation, get to know your team members. Some of you don't even know your team members' kids' names. Some of you don't know the struggles that their wife is going through right now. Because I'm telling you, if you want people to knock down some walls for you, care about them not for what they bring to the organization, but because you want to see transformation in them. And as a result, when they see transformation, it's only going to continue to go down the hill. And so many leaders, so many managers are not doing it. They're just doing their thing. I like to say this. When I spend time with my team members, I always did. When I spend time with team members, I say, here's the thing. 80% of I use the Pareto principle, 80-20 rule for everything. 80% of the time I'm spending with my leaders, I'm spending talking about their personal lives. What's going on? What's going on with your marriage? What's going on with your finance? What's going on with your kids? What's up with little Joey's soccer game? What's happening? What's going on with your son who's in 3rd grade, who's playing in the Little League soccer team that you happen to sit on the board on? And I know you're at a cheerleading competition this weekend. I know, like, what are all these different things? Like, what are the things what's going on in their life? And then I spend 20% of the time worrying about ministry. Because if you hire the right people and you get people out of the wrong seats on the bus, then you can talk to them about what's going on in their lives. And guess what? They're going to come to the church excited the next morning. They're going to bust down doors for you. I'm telling you, as long as you're looking at them for a transaction, you're getting about a 7 is the max you're getting out of them. Once you care about them as who they are as people, that number will rise up to a 10. I'm telling you, that's some good math right there. If you can elevate somebody from a 7 to a 10 just by caring about them. Number 10, when it comes to focus, just said this. Managers only see people as resource to get the job done, where leaders help them to focus on the big picture. As I read in the text earlier, like, your business is God's business. I mean, what we get to do, many of you get paid for it. Many of you are volunteers. You get the opportunity to be a part of the most amazing business ever. Some of you, if I told you today, like, guess what? You can get your job working for the Lakers. You're going to be able to sit front row every single game. Some of you, you'd be so excited you couldn't sleep at night. Of course, Jason's like, Kobe. But I'm telling you, what you get to do is so much more amazing than sitting front row to a losing team. Let me keep it moving. All right, when it comes to feedback, let's keep it going. When it comes to feedback, managers are inclined to yes men and yes women, while leaders seeks to create a culture that thrives on honest, candid, and consistent feedback. Let me say that again. Honest, candid, and consistent feedback. When I was a prison warden, you know, let me tell you where my best ideas came from. Do you think it came from my deputy wardens? Yeah, at the age of 25, I was the youngest prison warden in the country. I didn't know at the time that God was going to use that time to prepare me for ministry. Do you think my best ideas came from my executive team? Do you think it came from the corporate office? Let me tell you where my best ideas came from. From Mr. Pete, our facilities guy. Because Mr. Pete was on the ground. He got a chance to interact with the inmates. They trusted, they respected him. He got a chance to interact with staff. And so the best ideas I would have would come from Mr. Pete. Some of you, you're looking for all these great ideas, and you're looking over the people that got some of the best ideas, some of the best suggestions, some of the best recommendations. They're sitting right there every single day in your church. But you're overlooking them. And you're not creating a culture where people will look after them and they will go and they will try to find these leaders that are saying these things, that are doing these. Because I'm telling you, we just look over them. And there's some of them sitting back there and they're just shaking their head. But all you have to do is ask. And again, if you're asking your team, then you create a culture where they're asking their volunteer teams. And you're creating a culture where their volunteer teams are asking the people that walk through the doors. And I'm telling you, it's all interconnected. When it comes to failure is important because a lot of times we'll look at failure like, oh, I don't want to fail. I'm telling you this right now. If you're not failing, you're not trying. And some of you ain't had any fail. Oh, man, we've been good. We've been good. No, we good, man. They tripping over there. If you're not failing, you're not trying. If your vision doesn't scare you, it's not a vision from God. You think God is comfortable with your little oh, well, we don't want to be a large church. Well, keep sharing the good news and keep reaching people. And guess what? I guess you won't like your church. Because eventually, it's going to be a big church. Stop making excuses. Know that failure is important. And again, and it's also about how you handle failure. For those of you guys that are football fans, remember a couple of years ago whenever RG3 was having all of his drama and like they were talking about failure. But one thing that RG3 did, like, well, you know, there's 10 other guys out there on the other side of the ball and this and that. He was making all these excuses instead of just owning it. And then that next week, Peyton Manning, it's my fault. I'm the leader. I wasn't good enough. I'm going to get better. That's okay. You're going to fail. But it's nothing more than you to get up and say, in front of your team, say, guys, we missed the mark. But I'm glad we missed the mark swinging. You know what? We're going to get better from it. And I'm going to accept your feedback, and I'm going to move forward from failure. When it comes to talent, managers see talent and opportunities as being scarce, while leaders see talent and opportunities in abundance. Managers say there's not enough talent to go around. No, I can't let you go to another ministry, or no, I can't give you a promotion. People might think that you're actually better than me, or that you bring something to the table. Great leaders are going to surround themselves with people that are better than them. You want to surround yourself with the best and the brightest. That's what you want to do, and you can't worry about what people are going to say. I don't know if you guys have watched the new Steve Jobs movie. They were talking about, one of the guys that he's working with was talking about, they were talking about the orchestra, and he was saying, whatever you play, a great instrument, the orchestra. And Steve Jobs was talking about, I don't play an instrument. He says, I play the orchestra. And you can't worry, but here's the deal. If you're the conductor and you're playing an orchestra, guess what? Because some of you guys, you're moved by what everybody thinks and what everybody's going to say. But guess what? Guess what a conductor has to do? They have to turn their back. I don't care what you guys are saying, because I'm focused on this. I'm playing this right here, and this is what you need to do. This is what you need to do. This right here, and we're doing this, and this right here. You're doing this right here. And here's the deal. So if I get that, I understand. I want to have a great orchestra. I'm okay with having a great orchestra. Here's the deal, man. The managers, there's not enough of God's blessings to go around where a leader's like, yes, you're great, sir. I want you. You know what? I see greatness in you. I'm going to pull you up what you're doing. I'm going to allow you to be my assistant. Guess what? I'm going to father you. I'm going to develop you. I'm going to train you, and I'm going to lead you. I hope that you're better than me, because here's the deal. At the end of the day, it's not about me. And nothing else. I'm sorry. Now I'm about to just get on a soapbox. There's nothing worse than so many ministry leaders. They oftentimes, when they leave their ministry, their pastor never knows about it. And guess what? Their pastor's upset because they didn't tell them. And you know why they didn't tell you? Because they know the culture that you've created, that there's a scarcity mentality. As soon as you say it, you're out the door. If it's best for them to go somewhere else, I'm going to help you get down there. I'm going to give you the resource. We're going to do it in a healthy manner. We feel like, our people are going to go down there. They're not your people. They're not your people. I'm telling you, it doesn't matter if the church opens down the street from you. There's more than enough of God's blessings to go around. I don't know if you know that there's a reason why CVS and Walgreens are on the same corner. You think that would kind of be a silly idea. No, it's actually a brilliant idea, because everybody's coming to look for some drugs. You know what I'm saying? Or some whatever it is that they're looking for, or some cough drops or whatever. I could have had a better illustration than drugs. But and so the thing is, but some of you guys, you have a preference. Some of you go to CVS, some of you go to Walgreens. It's okay. Make sure you're the best Walgreens you can be. Don't worry about what CVS is doing. Just focus on what the things that you can control. Real quick, I'm over time. Success. When it comes to success, managers see it in terms of concrete numbers, while leaders see it holistically in terms of comparative growth. So a manager only looks at, our numbers are this, man, we didn't grow, whatever. Are your people growing? Are you developing a school of leadership? Do you have an internship program? Are things thriving? Is money going up? Or are people healthy? Are people that are on your team, are their marriages failing? Are their marriages healthy? What's going on with their kids? Can their kids go get braces because you were able to get benefits? Are they stressed out? Are they having time off? Are they getting time off on the weekend? Like what? Because one more soapbox, and I'm like at my last point. I'm closed now. Sorry. Okay, here's the thing. When we talk about time off, I just have to say this. The organizations and churches that I work with, there's two ends of the spectrum on the amount of weekends leaders get off. I may step on some toes right now, and that's why I'm here. Let me say. Some ministries, their people get 2 weekends off a year. That's the standard. That's the standard. I work with a lot of AG churches. That's kind of the standard rule. I don't know where that standard came from, but it's a stupid standard. Then you have Gateway Church over here. Their team gets 26 weekends off a year. Every other weekend. They don't care what they do. And again, everybody's going to say, oh, it gives Gateway Prince money, do whatever. It doesn't matter, because here's what we're talking about. A healthy number is about 6 to 8 weekends a year. Because here's the thing. If your people have to be there every weekend, then how are you raising up other leaders? If nobody ever needs to step up and fill in a role, how are you raising up other leaders? And if you tell me there's no way that I can take a weekend off, then you probably don't need to be on my team. Leaders, senior pastors, many of you take off more than 2 weekends a year. It is absolutely irresponsible for you not to allow your team members to take off more than 2 weekends a year. Sorry, none of you are that important. None of you are that good. But I'm telling you, pouring into and releasing your people to have some time off, to have a weekend off. And I think 2 of those weekends should be back to back, because the first weekend you get off, all you did was your honey-do list and you're back to work. You know what I'm saying? Sometime in those 6 weeks it needs to be. Okay, sorry. And last one is this: development. Managers check the box and see and sit back and hope that development happens, where leaders take an active part in the development process, investing time, energy, and resources. And Bishop opened it up with this, talking about time, energy, and resources. Development just doesn't happen. You got to invest in somebody. So my question for you is, please don't get up and talk about leadership and development if you can't point out several people that you're developing right now. Every time you hear somebody talk about leadership development, man, you know what? Bishop, who are you developing right now? Oh, well, I got all these people under me. That's not the question that I asked you. Right. Who are you pouring into and developing? Because the only way this thing works is if we continue to develop leaders. Here's what Jesus did. There's 2 cats out there fishing. He walks up to them, and some of you guys want people today, they're not ready yet. What did Jesus do? He put his arms around them. He said, walk with me for a minute. He says, and I will make you fishers of men. Making is he didn't say, come with me, you're already fishers of men. He says, come with me, and I'll make you fishers of men. I'm done. That's it.